All right, so let's get started. So how many of you are in the Polkadot ecosystem from the time when we had the diagram, which showed a lot of parachains talking to each other, that, like complicated diagram, which looked very beautiful as well? A show of hands? Amazing. We are going to talk about something that we have realized very recently, and we will showcase how that diagram has become a reality today. OK, let's get started. So I'm Gautam Dhameja. I'm founder of Blockdeep Labs, previously at Parity, and today we are going to talk about the Mythical Games project. With me today, we have Cameron, VP of Blockchains from Mythical, and we have Alistair, who is the lead developer of Snowbridge. And we are going to talk about how a parachain on Polkadot talks to Ethereum through Snowbridge and blinks liquidity and makes magic happen. Are you ready? Come on, show some excitement, guys. All right, awesome. So I'll get started with Cameron. So first question, can you tell us a little bit about what were the reasons to move to Polkadot and what were some of the challenges for this move?
Yeah, this is the infamous why Polkadot question that we get so frequently. And I think to fully answer it, we kind of have to go back in time a little bit. So in 2018, when we founded Mythical Games, Ethereum was just completely dominant, but there were some up-and-comers, right? There were some challengers. They, gave you cheaper gas usage or whatever. So we chose EOS, actually. And we built our first game, Blanco's Block Party, on EOS. And if any of you know anything about EOS, it's kind of gone, right? No one uses it anymore. For a reason, they abandoned it, whatever. So we kind of learned our lesson a little bit and said, OK, well, we can't build on Ethereum, right? Because 15 transactions per second, et cetera. That's just not feasible for a mass market game. But we can still use it. So we took open source Ethereum and we ran a permission sidechain. So it's effectively a poor man's L2 before they were really popular. And it worked, right? It met our technical needs, but it didn't meet kind of some of the goals that we had for the future. And one of those was, more decentralization, open governance, easy liquidity between chains, moving things around. And so we decided, OK, we need to take a step back and review kind of where everything is now and pick a chain. And we looked at everyone, and everyone told us, OK, yeah, the gaming chain is Polygon. Got to go with Polygon. And then a month later, it's like, oh, the gaming chain is Avalanche. You have to be on Avalanche for sure. And now it's Solana, right? So you get all these things, and I think they're more hype than substance most of the time. And when we reviewed Polkadot, it had, 4 roughly pieces that made us choose it. One is we need stability. So something like Solana is kind of a non-starter. If the chain goes down, it doesn't work for days at a time. Our apps get pulled from the App Store, right? Sales don't go through; they get rejected. That doesn't work. So that's already precludes quite a few of them. And then the next is throughput. So we need a minimum amount of throughput, and we also need to see a roadmap that lets us feel confident in the future, and the improvements and speed increases, all these different things, and Polkadot checked that off as well. And then the third piece, which I kind of mentioned previously, was we want something with that's actually decentralized and that has on-chain governance, and you'd be hard pressed to find a better chain than Polkadot for those two things for sure. And so, you put these things together, and it's just made sense to go with Polkadot, right? So people question it. They aren't confident. Some of them, with the previous speakers talking about some of these things, like complexity and that kind of thing. But for us, the trade-off of complexity is that you have something that you can customize, right? The chain can be fully customized, and yeah. Overall, it's just really fit our needs, and we can see growing together in the future with it.
Perfect. Thank you. And what do you see as some of the challenges towards this move?
I kind of mentioned it. There's this trade-off with flexibility and complexity. It is sometimes more complex than what we were previously doing, but it opens a lot of doors as well. So one of the challenges was, how do we get Myth tokens from Ethereum to the Mythos chain? Right? There's no new tokens being minted. It's one-to-one. So we need to bring them into the ecosystem, and that's where Snowbridge came in.
Yes, perfect. Moving on to Snowbridge then. So before that, let me give you guys some context. So the Mythos parachain that we are building today actually has a predecessor, which is a chain on a private network of Ethereum. It has a lot of NFTs in millions, and we are moving all of them to the Mythos parachain on Polkadot. Along with the NFTs, there is a native token as well, which is called Myth. It's an ERC20 token, currently lives on Ethereum mainnet, and it has supply coming into the private chain as well. Now, we wanted to make sure that the total supply of that token remains constant so that there is absolutely no mismatch of anything across these chains. And that is where Snowbridge is a very critical component. So moving on to Snowbridge, Alistair, I want to ask you, what are the design principles behind Snowbridge, and how does it help with this kind of problem to solve?
Sure, yeah. So Snowbridge is designed to be a trustless, decentralized, and general-purpose bridge. And basically, what we've implemented in this first release is a token bridge for ERC20 tokens. Now, this allows us to... OK, what does trustless mean? Let's start there, because I think that's a word that's thrown around a lot. And why is it important, specifically for the Mythos case? So as the Mythos case is to basically migrate all of their ERC20 tokens into the Polkadot ecosystem. Now, that's a lot of liquidity to bring in. And as this liquidity, as the amount of the total value locked in the bridge increases, it becomes like more and more important to not trust a small set of signatures or users with these funds. So Snowbridge adds no extra trust assumptions. We trust the validators that run the network directly, and we follow consensus, and we validate using proofs. So there's no one single party in charge of those funds. So that's important for the Mythos case. Other things that we design or design for is, one, ease of use. Like a user who wants to bridge their funds, their Myth token over, they don't really care about parachains and XCMs and all the hops that their token has to do. They basically want to go and submit one transaction and have their funds appear on the Mythos parachain. And that's a feature we supported from the get-go. We have a one-click transfer to any destination parachain in the Polkadot ecosystem, provided that we do steps to modify the parachain to support bridged assets. And obviously, Gautam's Blockdeep helped us. We worked closely to achieve that for Mythos. And I think lastly, to make everything really seamless, we try to be permissionless wherever possible. So token registration and configuration of what tokens you want can happen without the need for governance intervention. And I think Cameron actually registered the Myth token. We did it on a call together when we were initially testing it out. So that's also very important to us at Snowbridge.
Yeah.
Amazing. So now, are you guys realizing that the diagram that I mentioned in the beginning of this panel is kind of like shaping up along the way? So there is a parachain, and there is a bridge to Ethereum. There is no multisig here. Everything is happening fully trustlessly. The tokens are flowing from Ethereum to Polkadot. Now, moving on, Cameron, next question for you is, how do you plan to utilize Snowbridge for the users of Mythos ecosystem?
Yeah. So there's multiple ways. The first way, so if you guys know about Mythical a little bit, it was introduced, but we're more focused on mainstream gamers and players. So these are people that, for the most part, not many of them really understand blockchain. Maybe they don't even have their own crypto wallet, right? This might be their first experience into the ecosystem at all. And so for those users, there's a lot of things we do on their behalf or with them, including help them bridge these tokens. So Mythical will be bridging all of the user balances when we migrate the marketplace, which is happening very soon. And then the rest of users, we're partnering with wallets like Nova, Talisman, Subwallet, et cetera, and they'll have the support for bridging directly in there as well. So it becomes, like he said, the user experience is very easy. It's minimal clicks, and that's critical for us, right? We try and focus as much as possible on ease of use.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And to you, Alistair, with these requirements and use cases in mind that Cameron just mentioned, what's coming up on the Snowbridge side in the next few months that will help us realize these use cases?
So currently, we only support bridging of ERC20 tokens from Ethereum. But the theme of this week, we've met with a lot of teams, parachain teams, and it seems everybody wants us to actually support Polkadot assets on Ethereum. So that's probably the biggest priority for our team on the roadmap. We are also working on supporting XCM transact or generalized code execution between Ethereum and Polkadot. So hopefully, maybe Blockdeep can find some ways to use that creatively to solve problems. Other things on the roadmap, we're heavily pushing integrations. We're working on getting Snowbridge into the Paseo test network and providing a good, a very well-designed SDK for teams to use to integrate Snowbridge into their user interfaces. And I think also what's very good, or something that's very important, is we have a lot of optimizations in the pipeline to bring down the cost of running the bridge and to bring down cost of fees for users, which I think is going to obviously help everybody in the ecosystem. I think specifically something we could maybe look at in the future, it's not really on our roadmap right now, but we have experimented with it as a team, is NFTs. I know Mythos has a large NFT marketplace that you might want to bridge over. So
Yeah.
that's something we could look at very soon.
Yeah. In and out is very cool and something I think we can make use of.
Amazing. So we loaded a little bit more of that diagram realization. Did you guys realize in the last two questions? So what we are looking at here is there is a two-way bridge which flows in both directions. The Ethereum tokens coming on Polkadot, the Polkadot tokens showing up on Ethereum, participating in all the DeFi applications, and NFTs flowing all across. Do you see NFTs in that diagram now? Come on, give me a show of hands. Yes. I mean, if you don't see it, still, you can just raise your hand, All right. Moving on to the next question, basically more related to some of the future things that are happening. So, Cameron, to you, anything that you would like to see being built in the Polkadot ecosystem that could add value to the Mythos and similar projects that are coming up?
Yeah. I have got some thoughts on this. Essentially, I haven't seen too many people talk about this, but I think just like with the internet, we have this kind of appification of the internet, right? I think if you're below a certain age, you probably don't browse the web ever. You probably mainly just use apps to interact with the web, right? I know from what I hear, WeChat basically is the web in China. I'm sure there are other apps in different parts of the world too. And I think we'll end up with something similar with blockchain. Right now, everyone interacts with a dApp through a wallet or something, web app. And we've shown pretty good success with having a regular app, right? These are normal games you can download from the app stores, but they are integrated with blockchain. And my guess is the more success we have in this space, the more they will look like that. So anything that helps, lower the friction. So an example is Nova Wallet's recent update, where you can create a wallet with your biometrics, right? You don't have to store a private key. It's kind of done in the cloud, backed up for you. That's, I think, going to be more and more a common use case, right? People don't necessarily need the most secure enclave or the most secure vault to hold game assets, potentially. So I think those kind of things, something else that jumped out when I was thinking about this is something with like Ethereum has EIP, I think it's 712, which is standard typed data that shows up in wallets. I think that would be interesting as well to have something similar to that in Polkadot ecosystems, so that we have a standard way to tell people what they're signing or what the transaction is really doing underneath the hood. So really anything I think that supports users that are not experts in this, but still want to utilize the benefits of the technology.
Perfect. I think that makes sense. The more friction we reduce, the better, the more adoption we get.
Yeah.
So that totally is in alignment with what we are looking for as well. Alistair, the same question to you. Like, what would you like to see being built in the Polkadot ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. I mean, something that would have helped with the Mythos case specifically is the polar path proposal by the Kill team. So, that would have saved a lot of code needed for the Mythical integration if that was out. So if you get a chance to view that proposal, please go check it out and support. For the greater ecosystem, I think the Plaza concept for Asset Hub is something I'd really like to see happen. I think it's going to simplify life for builders a lot, and I also think it's going to simplify life for users. I mean, having to do less cross-chain transfers, a little bit of, adding more functionality to Asset Hub so that they don't have to waste fees doing transfers from different chains to get the same functionality is good for users, is good for builders. So yeah, that's something I'd really want to see come to life in the ecosystem. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that it's more like we see a common theme here that we want to reduce the friction. We want to make sure that users are aware of what they are doing, like ERC 712 that we want to replicate here as well. We want to make sure that the way to use the underlying infrastructure becomes easier and easier and simpler. So I think that's the common theme. I think we are continuing to work towards that. Now, basically, this is what we wanted to discuss among ourselves, of course, but now we want to open it up for questions. So feel free to ask if you have any questions. Anything about the Mythical project or Snowbridge or Polkadot in general, we are happy to answer. Shoot.
Who's brave?
OK, we have a question.
Mark. When airdrop? Pretty soon. Pretty soon. Interesting that you asked that. Yeah, I think very shortly. I'm not going to say an exact date, but soon. Soon TM.
We have a question there.
Yeah, in the back.
Yes. Do we have a mic for the audience, or? All right, let's just go without the mic then.
No. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, if I heard right, the question is essentially governance in gaming is interesting. You have any plans there? Yes. So Mythos, the Mythos chain is governed by the Mythos Foundation, which is a DAO for all Myth holders. And on-chain governance is coming. We have been working on some of the palettes there. And we should have full on-chain governance on the chain, and people can kind of do whatever they want, right? They can sponsor different projects, update, the world is their oyster. So yes.
Yes.
Are you officially a live Polkadot project now, or are we waiting for agile?
No, are we officially live? Yes, the chain is officially live. Mythical Games has not completed the full migration of our tech stack yet, so the games, like our top game, NFL Rivals, is still running on our permission chain. But that migration, that full migration, is coming roughly the end of the month. And then everything will be not only live already, but it'll be active as well. So you'll have users that have been migrated. They're actively trading and utilizing the parachain. Yeah. So we've already done some steps to some partial migrations. So I think we've migrated almost 800,000 wallets onto the chain. So they've been created, and as the first step. But yeah, it's live. You can check it out.
Yeah, so just to add to that, basically, so it has been a phased approach. So actually, the chain went live in the middle of March itself. It started producing blocks on Polkadot mainnet. And after that, we did a runtime upgrade to add a few additional features to onboard and connect the Snowbridge. So now the token can seamlessly move from Ethereum to the chain, and a lot of those tokens have already been moved. And then the next step is, of course, migrating the NFTs and launching the marketplace, as Cameron mentioned, towards the end of the month.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yes.
Say that again. Remitar?
About the games, are you doing some alpha already? You have some list of game, the beta or alpha game? I hear about Dremica.
Oh, Dremica.
Yeah.
That's not made by us, but we definitely I think there's some room for us to kind of work together on things. We support them, with love, and we definitely want kind of any game in the ecosystem to take off. So there's no direct. They're not on Mythos or anything yet, but maybe one day. Yeah. So the ETA of when the migration will be complete. Yeah, it should be the end of this month. End of July is when everything will be migrated and everything should be live, roughly. Give some buffer in there in case there's some last-minute hiccups, but that's the plan.
We have a question here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, then. Let's wrap it up here. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice one.
Thank you.